Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1,000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So when it comes to database, like there are multiple databases. Like when Microsoft guys means who are from the .NET, they will use more SQL browser. Those who are from Java or PHP, they will go for the MySQL, Oracle database also there, right? But basic concept when we talk about database will be same across. Just little bit difference will be there while writing a queries, but basic things will be same. Okay. So as I have mentioned, like from first, whenever if you have to do the practice, you need two software. First SQL Server and try the Express Edition. This will take minimum space in your laptop. Okay, SQL Express. Once you install the Express, then you need SQL Management Studio. This is like a IDE to access the database. This with the SQL Server 2019 Express Edition will it is your database, but to access that database you need another software, that is Management Studio, by which you will be able to connect to the database and write the queries and everything. Fine. So in my system I have already installed everything. So what I will do, I just need to install open the SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so SQL Management Studio, I have the 19. In your case, you will have something 22 or 23, what might be the latest. But basic things are same in all the Management Studio. Now, what things we are going to discuss? First, obviously, what is database? Then how we create the table? What are the different ways to create the table? What is primary key? What are the data types we have? One more point. It doesn't matter like if we talk about Angular or TypeScript or React, we have data types. In Java, we have certain more. In .NET, we have certain more, right? So in database also, we have the data type. Then how do we insert the data into the table? How to read it, how to update, and how to delete? Okay, and if the time is proper and we are able to complete everything within time, then we will see foreign key. And if once we see the foreign key, how do we read the data? By joining multiple table, means inner join, outer join, what those are the join queries we have. Fine. So these are the things we are going to see. First of all, like if you are a fresher or even a front-end developer also sometimes get asked this question. If you have experience of 2 years, no one will ask you about the database or the API that much. But as your experience will go, somehow or some after some year, you will be leading a team. Obviously, no one is going to be a developer throughout the career. Sometime after some time, you need to take out that position where you are going to lead at least a UI team or a project, whatever. So when you reach up to that position, you should be familiar with how database is, how database work, why we need the database, what are the things we have in database, how APIs are developed, not in detail, but at least basic understanding how API is created. Because sometimes there might be a scenario where you need to talk to API team and you have to explain like, no, this type of API I need, this type of response you need for UI. So that's why database and API knowledge is little bit, because no one is expecting you to go into deep, but basic knowledge should be understandable to everyone, right? So these are the basic things. If you know these things, that is also enough. Okay. Now we will see two database approaches, means two projects. Let's say first is e-commerce, the famous one you will be able to easily connect. Then second is warehouse. Okay. So let's say if we talk about e-commerce. So when we say table, let's say we want to create a new e-commerce application, a project is there. And the first step is like, once the requirement gathering is done, what things we needed in the e-commerce application that are clear. Then first thing we have to start is creating the database. Okay. Now, when it comes to database, we create the database. After the database creation, we need to figure out how many tables we are going to need. Okay. So let's try to visit Amazon. So if we see Amazon, so here by seeing at it, you can see we have some offers, then we have some product. On the left side, we have reviews, price, discount, so many filters we have. At the top menu, you will be able to see like Where is the category? Yeah. So here are the various categories. Let's say if I click on mobile and computer, these are the various categories in mobile. If I click on Fire TV, these are the categories. Again, if I go to men's fashion is the parent category. Again, there are child categories, right? So categories are there. And in each category, let's say if I go to TV and appliances, and if I go to televisions, then particular products of the television categories will load. Okay. So at the top, you will get the offers. Then again, so many offers are there now only, but previously we used to get the products list by, let's say, sorted by mostly selling, mostly being watched, like that, right? So if we see the whole e-commerce application, how many tables we need? So what type of different data you can see in the application, that type of tables we need normally. Okay. So starting from the basic master table. Now, whenever we talk about the database, there will be a term master tables. So master data is kind of a data which is we are going to use in another table. So category. So category is the master table that we are going to use into product table. Okay. Those are nothing but dependent data which we are going to use in another table. Okay. So whenever we create a database, first we start with the master table. So if we talk about e-commerce application, first table we will create is category table. So now in category table, we can have, if we see over here, shop by category. So these are the various categories we have. See, these are nothing but my categories. Inside these categories, we have child categories. Okay. So again, there in detail application, there will be so many categories, but let's say parent category and child category. Okay. So instead of category table, we will call it as a parent category. Okay. Then once parent category is created, inside this category, again, we need to create the child categories. So we will create one more table that will be child category. Okay. Now these are the table which are responsible to store the categories. Once category is created, then the next table we are going to need is once we select any category, obviously product will load, correct? So we need to create one more table that will be products. Now, if we open a product, see now there will be so many use cases, but a short way we will try. Okay, so let's say if I open this earbuds. So if you see this page, what things you see, which you can divide or which you can categorize. So this is the product information, right? All this information is related to this product. Okay. Now over here, you can see color. Colors are multiple. Then images, these are also multiple. Then if we see, these are like properties. These properties are ear placement. This property will only come in case of the earphone, right? But if we open the mobile, this property won't be there. So this is also dynamic. Then product description will be there. Again, reviews and everything will be there. Now question answer is also there. Then where is the reviews? Somewhere should be the reviews now. Yeah, see, comments are there. Comments are nothing but reviews with the comments, correct? Then ratings is also there. So for a particular product, there will be again so many dependent table. Okay. So we will just try to cover basic one. So let's say if we created a product table. Inside that, we will store the basic single information related to that product. But when it comes to multiple, because this product has multiple images, right? So a dependent table on the product will be product images. So in this table, we are going to store the single entity information of the product, like product name, product category, like what kind of product categories, then price, thumbnail image, right? There is description, basic information we will store. And in product images, for this product, we have multiple images, right? So product images, multiple data will go into this. Then product reviews. For a particular product, there will be multiple reviews. Okay. Then what was there? Now this we say at a color, but these are nothing but variants. So whenever we talk about e-commerce, so e-commerce has certain what do we say, jargons, means word which are only related to particular domain, like SKU, stock keeping unit or something. variants. For this product, there are various variant means nothing but various models. So in this, it is images. Okay. So we can say product variants. Okay. So this is master kind of data. We have created category. Then inside category, we have created child category. Product we have created. Inside product, we have created multiple images. Reviews will come after product purchase, because if someone purchase the product, then only he can add the reviews, right? Not anyone can visit and add the review. Then before review will come after he has done the purchase. So we have the table sale. Inside this sale table, once the user buys any product, we will insert the data into the sale table. But how user and from where that user information will come? So we will have a customer table. Everything need to be stored, right? So customer table will be there. So like this, we need to decide the table. It consider like e-commerce application. These are the various, means this is just a basic. Again, we can have in previous company, I have worked on a e-commerce application, which was only for mechanical parts. So when we say mechanical part, obviously the area is limited, but still it has around 56 to 57 table. Just to sell mechanical parts, it has around 56 to 57 table. So consider Amazon or Flipkart, it is selling everything. So obviously they cannot, for mobile, they will create a table, and for image, for laptop, they will create another table. Everything will be dynamic. But again, so many tables will be there because multiple types of data, we need to handle it together properly, right? So these are the e-commerce related tables we are going to need. See, so now you might have understood the basic idea, like what will be the table and how many tables we will be needing. Okay. If we talk about school application, let's try again school, or let's discuss the warehouse. So when we talk about warehouse, so what is the purpose of warehouse? Let's say I'm the owner of a warehouse and I have certain 2 or 3 warehouses on different location. And that warehouses, I give out rent to other people who can store their whatever the items they want to store, they can store in the rent in that warehouse. So first I have to create a table where I will maintain my warehouse detail. So let's say warehouse master. Inside this table, I will store my warehouses detail, like how many warehouses, what are its address, location, city, pin code, whatever, size, what is the size of that warehouse, like that. Then I will have clients, because clients are going to store data into my warehouse. Correct? Clients table will be there. Then client, when let's say we have a client and he is going to store some of his product into my warehouse. So whenever he will load the data into my warehouse, I need to log everything, right? So for storing, like how many data are, what type of, what in what days, how many data he has stored, because I need to log everything. So let's say in item, means if client is visiting and he's storing something, so I need to log that entry in item. Then out item, when whatever the item he has stored, if he is again taking the items out, so that entry also I need to log. Then billing information will go into another table. So like this, whatever the project will be there, you will be creating different tables for that. Okay. If it is a school application, let's say we will have teacher table, student table, examination table, attendance table, salary table, fees table, what student will be paying. Whatever the project, you will categorize the data, and like that you will create the tables. Okay. Now we will start with for the database creation. So when you open the Microsoft SQL Management Studio, you will get something like this. So here your local database will be there. So you need to select the server name, and I'm going with Windows authentication. Sometimes you will have server authentication also. If it is an online database, you need to provide user ID and password. Okay. So if I'm connecting on my local database, simply I will click on connect. Now, here you can see these are the various things which we got. So here, first is like database. I will expand it. These are the some database which I have already created. Now, let's say I have to create a new database. So I will create a database with name e-commerce application. So I clicked on write and I click on the new database. So I will get this pop-up, and here I will provide the database name e-commerce. app DB. Okay. Then when we create the database, we can specify the initial size, what maximum size I can, because it's a database, it is going to hold the data. Obviously, we have to allocate the memory also. By default, some memory will be there, but we can extend that also. Okay. So these are the basic thing. Let's click on OK. So it will create the database. So here you can see it has created the database. So now our database is created. Next thing, in the database, once the database is created, we have to create the table. So as we discussed about e-commerce application. So first table we will create is the parent table category. So when we create the database, specifically with e-commerce, first I will go with the normal way. So I have to open a new query window. So what I can do, on right click on this and open a new query. So whenever we if we talk about JavaScript, we write the code in the scripting, right? So just like that, whenever we have to interact with the database, we have to query it. Okay. So we have to write a SQL query, then we execute. Like that, we communicate with the database. Okay. So let's say we have to create a table that will be parent category. Okay. So we have to write a query like create table, then table name. Let's say parent category, create table, and these are something reserved keyword. Every language has some reserved keyword. So like that, you can see it is coming in the blue format. So create is also reserved keyword, table is also reserved keyword. Then this is your table name, whatever you want to give. Okay. Let me just see the syntax. I forgot now. SQL W3. Because we get the, normally we create by that window, which I will explain later. Create table. Create table, then column and the data type. Okay. So round bracket was there, no? Okay. Now we said we are going to create a table, but inside create table, we will have multiple columns. Okay. So what is column is, consider Excel sheet. In Excel sheet at the top, we provide the columns, like what type of data I'm going to hold into that particular row, like that. Okay. So we need to specify the column. Now, when we talk about the database and when we talk about the table, every table will have a column which is unique. So that we call that we call normally a primary key column. So let's say if it is a parent category, so we can say category ID. This is my column name. Then we need to specify the data type. So let's say integer. Int is a data type we have in database. Okay. Now this what do we say, column is going to be this is my column name. It's having a data type integer and it's going to be a primary key. So we need to specify that also. Okay, let me just see how do we do that. Primary key. Primary key, just in the capital case. So primary. Okay, so we have said like this is the table name. This is my first column, which is having data type integer. And whenever we say primary key will have data type normally int, because integer is something that we can be unique. We don't create something which is string, which we can accept as a uniqueness, right? So integer, what we do. So this is primary key, comma, then category name. So category name, sorry. Okay, this is my second column. Now, what type of data I'm going to hold into category name? Obviously string. So when we talk about string in JavaScript or in Angular on TypeScript, we have string. But when it comes to database, we have varchar. So varchar. Now we are creating a table, and inside that we are specifying columns. But what number of character? It's a string data. Basically, it's a character. So what number of maximum character I want to allow to hold into this column? So I can specify the maximum number of character. Let's say category name, let's say maximum 100 character will be long enough. Okay. Category name. Then category logo. So sometimes you might have seen in when we use it any e-commerce application, each category will have something logo also, right? So we need to create a column where we can store the logo also. Again, it will be varchar only. It might contain a long URL, right? So that's why let's say 200. So this is our first table. So how do we read out? Create table. My table name is this, and these are the columns which we have. Category ID, which is having data type integer, and which is primary key also. Okay. Again, whenever we design a form, we say validation, right? Whenever we design a form, let's say it's a student registration form, we are designing a form to create a product, we add some validation like required, min length, max length. So this is nothing but max length. Okay. But and some property we say like this is required. So required means we have to specify not null. Okay. How it is written? Yeah, not null. Means this is mandatory. Okay. So this is also mandatory. Then let's say category name is also mandatory, but this is optional. So we don't have to say it like this is not null. Okay. So these two things are mandatory. Now this is our query to create the table. Now how do we execute that? So you can see over here we have execute statement. So you just click on execute. So once your query is proper, it doesn't have any error, you will get something like this, like command completed successfully. Now if we refresh the table, here you can see the table. See, now this is the by creating query we have created this table. Now one more way is there how we normally do it. So you can right click on the table, new table. Now, how we created the table by using SQL query, a short way is you can create like this. So parent category table we have created. Now we will create a child category table. So let's say child category ID. This is the column name. Data type. So here you can see how many data types are there, that all you can see it over here. Begin, binary, date time, decimal, float, geography, geometry, money, so many different types of data types we have. Okay. So it's a in primary key. So integer. Allow null. How you have written it over here? Now that same thing. This is the required, not null. So you just need to uncheck it. Okay. And this column is going to be a primary key. So right click on it and set primary key. So what you have written it over here in an easy way, you can do over here. Then child category name, again varchar. So varchar 50, or let's say by default it will come 50. Let's say 100. This is also optional. Then let's say image. What is it? Logo. Varchar 200, and it is optional. So we can keep it as allow null. Allow null means you're allowing null data, means empty data to be inserted into this column. Okay. So this is how you create a table by using this GUI also. Now you just have to click on save. Then it will ask you to enter the name of the table. So child category. Let's click on OK. So this will be creating the table. Now if we refresh, so now you can see we have created two tables. So one way is by writing the SQL query. If you are new, obviously you need to understand this only. But as an experienced developer, I don't remember the queries because I don't write like this. We use the graphical UI and we create the table like this. Okay. But for a fresher, this is must, because you should be able to understand what are the queries we have, how do we use that, everything. Okay. Now, this is how we created the basic table. And this is our primary key. Here also it is primary key, and here also it is primary key. So now we have created the table. Now, how do we insert the data into the table? Okay. Again, we need to open the new query window. So right click on the database, open a new query. Now, how do we insert the data into the table? So we have two tables, parent category and the child category. Let's try to insert the data into parent category. So our SQL query should be like insert into, these are again reserved keyword. Then your table name, in which table you want to insert the data, parent category. So your table name, parent category. Okay. So this is your table in which you are going to insert. So this is the query to insert the data. Then let me see again, column and values. There are two ways to insert the data. Where it is, insert. So first is with column, yeah, in round bracket, then values. So round bracket, na, yeah. So first way is you can specify the column name and the values also. Then I will explain the second way. So insert into parent category. Like how many columns we have? So first was, let's just open it in a design mode. First is category ID. Category ID, comma. Now your name should be same, correct? Otherwise you won't able to find that. Then category logo. So these are the columns I have. Then values. And in values, you need to specify the values. So we have three columns: category ID, category name, and category logo. Likewise, you need to provide the values. So category ID was having data type of integer. So you can directly provide, let's say 1. Then category name. So obviously it's a varchar. So you need to provide the value into double quotes. Double quotes. Then your value. Let's say, what is the category? Mobile, comma, or electronic appliances will make more sense. So this is our parent category, which we are creating, that is electronic appliances. Then logo. Let's keep the logo empty. Okay. Let's try to execute. For double quote, I don't know. We might get error, but let's try. An object or a column name is empty. Verify each column. Let's try single quote. Let's execute. So see, one row affected means it has inserted this data into our table. So this is one way to insert, where we have to specify column name and then values also. Another way is insert into our table name and directly values. Yeah, directly values without providing the column names. Okay. So let's say first ID we have inserted 2. Now parent, this category ID we said like this is a primary key. Okay. So we have already inserted one category which is having category ID as 1. Now if we again try to provide the 1, and let's try. Sorry, single quote. What was the category we had? Gaming accessories. Let's try gaming accessories. Okay. Then logo again, we will keep it as empty, or let's pass 2 only. Fine. So now I will just comment it. In this window, if you have to comment, you just have to add 2 times hyphen. Okay. Now if we try to execute this query, we will get an error. No, some another error is there. Why we are getting our values? Sorry, yes, it's missing. Execute. So see, the column name or number of supplied. I think it needs third parameter also. Let's provide it empty. Execute. So now here we get the error. What is the error? Violation of primary key constant, because in this table we cannot insert duplicate key. In the parent category table, duplicate key value is 1, because we already have a record in the parent category where category ID is having 1 value. So we cannot insert 1 again, because we said category ID is a primary key. So it will only have unique values. But now if we insert 2 over here, it will allow us to execute. See, 1 row affected. Now into our table, there are 2 records. 1 electronic appliances and 2 is gaming accessories. So this is the command to insert the data. Now, how do we read the data? How do we see what records I have into my table? So again, second thing is like select query. So select star from, then my table name. So this is my query. Now these are the syntax, whatever the syntax we are seeing now, it is same in Oracle and MySQL also. Somewhat when it comes to join or some cursor and if else condition we have to write, then it will change according to the database. But again, that will be same. Little bit syntax will be different, but this basic command is same. Okay. So select star from table name. So what it will does, it will read all the data from the table. See, this is the data we had. Okay, so this is how you read the data from the table. This is how you create the table, and using create table, table name, that's how you create the table. This is how you insert. There are 2 ways to insert. First, you can specify the column and the values. And second, directly you can provide the values also. Now, when this method will use, when you, if you have to see, let me just insert it again. Suppose say I don't want to insert the data into column names. Only logo I don't want to insert. Let's try this. Okay, electronic appliances, again 3 should be added. headphones. Let's add headphones. If I execute, see, it has allowed me to execute. But when I was trying to do the same with this way, by just providing the two ways, by just providing the two values, it didn't allow me to insert it. We got the error like number of column doesn't match with the supply values, because when you use this way, you need to provide all the values. How many columns you have, you need to provide all the values. But this way will be useful when you want to insert to some particular limited columns only. So that's why we have two ways. This way, when you have to enter the data, some limited columns only. This way you have to use when you are going to insert into all the column. Got it? So that's why we have two ways. Now, so to read the data, we have this way, select star from category. So this will read the data, whatever the data we have into the table. Okay. Now here you can see when we didn't send the values, by default database will insert null value. So in JavaScript or in Angular, everyone knows like whenever we talk about data type, we have null and undefined also, right? So it has a value which is null. And here we have a value which is empty. Okay. Undefined is something else. Okay. So null is there. So this is how we create the table, we insert the data, and we read the data also. Now, when we talk about the CRUD operation, so get operation is done. Wait, something is happening. Am I audible correctly? Some pop-up is there. I'm not sure. Please respond. Am I audible correctly? Message me. Okay, fine. So we have inserted data also, and we have read the data. Next thing, when we talk about the CRUD operation, CRUD means read the data, insert the data, update the data, and delete the data. Now, how do we update the data? So let's say while inserting, we have inserted the category name as electronic appliances. Now we just need to add a logo to it also. Okay. So how do we update it? So we have an update query. So update. Then we have to specify the table name. That is, let's say parent table. Okay. Update, then your table name. Now in particular table, we have so many keys. Which column name you want to update? So we need to update category logo only. Category logo is equal to, let's get any URL online. What was it? Electronic appliances now. Let's get this URL, open image in a new window. This is a URL. I think it has more than 200 characters. Okay, let's simply pass logo something dot png. Logo.png. Okay. Now, if I run this command, what will happen? It will update all the records we have in the table, because we didn't say which record you need to update. So here we need to specify where clause. So we said update from this table and the column name should be this value. But which record? So we have to use where clause. Where, now what is unique in our table? Category ID. That's why we keep something unique. That's why we have to use primary key. So whenever we have to read, whenever we have to update, whenever we have to delete, we use that key. We identify that particular record by that primary key. So where category ID is equal to 1. Okay. So now the record where category ID is 1, we are trying to update the logo. Okay. Let's try. If we execute, somewhere error is there. Update parent category logo. Spelling mistake is there. Yes. Let's copy. So see, category column name was wrong. Let's try now. Still. What is the error? Category ID. Incorrect syntax near category logo. Update parent category. Sorry, set. Sorry. Okay. So in case of update query, we need to use the set keyword also. Set this key means this column and the value is this. Okay, let's try it. So this is the benefit or disadvantage when you don't write, because I work with the .NET. We don't have to write it. Everything we write in the .NET code only. So we never come across with, in the initial learning phase only, we come across the queries like this. Okay. So we have updated one record where category ID is 1 and we said column name should be this. Okay. Now let's try to read the data again. Let's comment this and let's uncomment the select query and execute. So here you can see record which is having category ID 1 has the logo updated. So this is how you update the record. Into existing record, you can update like this. Okay. What if we try to provide the value which doesn't exist? Let's pass category ID 6. Now we don't have any record where category ID is 6. So we will get some error. Let's try it. What it said 0, because we don't, it didn't affected any record. It didn't change anything because we don't have any matching record where category ID is 6. Got it? So if you see, it won't insert or something. Okay, same thing is there. So this is how you update the record. Update, then your table name, set, column name and value, and your where clause. You should not use where clause with update or delete. Means you cannot directly update or delete without the where clause. That is the first rule. Whenever we learn the database, everyone will teach you. Okay. So get part is done. Get part is nothing but select. Then insert part, this, then update part is done. Now it is the delete one. So how do we delete the existing record? So delete from which table? That is parent category. Okay. Delete from parent category. Now what, again, if we say delete from parent category only, so it will delete all the record from my table, right? Because we didn't specify like which record we need to delete. So now we need to specify the columns also, like which particular record I need to delete. So here we will again use the where clause, where category ID is equal to 2. So we are trying to delete the gaming accessories. Okay. Let's just comment. Now if we execute, so it is saying one row affected. Now again, if we try to read the data, see that second record got deleted. Okay. So this is how the basic operation. How do we insert the data? How do we read the data? How do we update the data? And how do we delete the data? Now, with this select query, we can again use the where clause also. So let's say I need the particular record where some particular ID is there. So let's say I need the record where category ID is 3. So where category ID equal to 3. So what it will does, it will read all the data from the table where category ID is 3. So see, we got only one record. If we pass 5 and if we execute, we won't get anything. No, but why we are getting error? Yeah. So we got the empty table because we don't have any matching record with 5. But if we say 3, we will get the data. Got it? So if you have to filter the data, this is how we do it. Now, one more condition over here. Let's comment this. So what does this star means? Select star from parent category. Star means all. All means all the columns, whatever I have into this table. Let's say I just need category ID and category name. I don't need the category label. So now instead of star, I can specify the column name, comma, category name. So now I will get just the category ID and the category name. Got it? So star means all the columns from my table. But if you need a certain number of tables, then you will write code like this. So you might have seen some API, let's say whatever the project you might have worked. One API will be there, get API, where you might be getting all the columns, all the data into that API. But some other API will be there, which you will use to bind the data to the drop down. So where you will get ID and key value data kind of. So this is how they read the data. And the API which will display all the information that will be like this. Obviously means this is database, but we normally write this code into API level, means .NET or Java, whatever. So we write the same code over there. In case of .NET, we It is very easy over .NET. The one line code over here also, one line code over there also. But same thing, just the way of writing will be different. So this is how we write the basic CRUD operation when it comes to database. So if you imagine those who are already working, get get operation, post operation, put API, delete API. So four APIs which we get. So get API must have a logic, something like this. Your post API will have a something logic like this. Your update API will have a something logic like this. And for delete API, you have something logic like this. One more API might be there. In the table, you show the record, and on click of delete, you get the particular record. So this is that API where you pass the ID and you get the particular ID record. So this is that API. So you might have got the idea like why understanding database is also important, because somehow you are going to lead the team. So when you communicate with the API team, you need to explicitly say, let's say just a product table. Product table has around 50 to 60 column. Okay. And you have a requirement where you need to show the product dropdown. So is it good to have all the data in the API? Because if you are not going to use all the 58 columns, why to pass that data also in the API? No, obviously to read all the column, database will take some time. No? But if you are returning only key value pair data, product ID and product name, it will take some less time, right? So whenever because API developer, let's say in some case scenario, API developer might be juniors. They might not have that experience, but as a lead, it is your responsibility as whatever the data you are going to use, that only should come from the API. So that's why having the knowledge of database is also very enough good. Or because in interview also now, whenever you are at that experience level, everyone will expect you to have this basic understanding, because sometimes you have to communicate with the API team also. So if you have this knowledge clear in the back end, right, then you will be able to communicate very effectively with the database or the API team. Like this is what I need from this API. I don't need the whole column. I just need 2-column array, right? So these are the basic CRUD operation we have. Okay. Now, next topic is just like primary key, we have something identity. So if you remember, while inserting the data, we have to remember like what ID I have already stored into my database. But it's very hard to remember or to write the logic to what IDs are there. If we try to insert one more time the same record, let's continue. Now let's see if we have the data already. Let's try to see the data. So currently we have in the table, we have ID with 1 and 3. Now, if I try to add one more column with 3, okay, giving accessories again, I'm trying to insert. So I will get an error because, okay, this is the another way. Third parameter also it is needed. Let's execute. So it will again specify primary key validation, because in the table, we already have a record which is having primary key 3, but it's not easy to remember like what data we have. So there might be something where database will take care of this, because every time whenever we have to insert the data, how you are going to know like this ID is already there or not, right? So while creating table, whatever the primary key is there now, you can make it identity, means database will automatically insert this key. You don't have to specify the value while inserting the data. Okay, so let's try to create one more table that will be our product table. So let me just open a new query. Let's use the graphical way. It will be very quick. Right click new table. So we are trying to create a product table. So product will have product ID, which is primary key. Data type will be int. It won't be null. Primary key. Okay. And now I said we need to make this as an identity, means database while inserting the data, we won't send the product ID. Database will automatically check like what is the unique next value we have. So for that we have identity specification. So here we need to say, yes, I need the identity specification, and it will be incremented by default 1. So whenever we insert the new record, first time it will insert 1. Next time if we try to insert, it will by default, it will increment 1 by 2. So next time primary key will be inserted as 2. So you don't have to worry about the primary key, what value you need to send. You don't need to send at all value if you specify identity. And in query also, while creating the column, you can pass it like this. Where is identity? Add to increment. So just like this, add to increment. Or we will have identity as 1, 1. Means this is how you create the table. Person, your table name, column name, integer, identity 1, 1. Means you won't be specific while inserting the data. You won't be passing the person ID. Just these 3 things you will pass. Database will take care of this key. It will automatically insert unique value each time. Okay. So whatever we have written it over here, just like that in the GUI, we take care like this. Identity setting to yes. Then let's say short name, varchar. Then we have long name, varchar 50. Then we have price. Price will be in the floating point, means we can go with float. Whenever we have to insert the data into point decimal point, so we can go with the float. Then let's say description, varchar. Okay, let's make this field optional. So let's save it also now. Product. Okay, let's save. Now let's try to insert the data into the product table. Now insert into products. Okay, values. Now while passing the data, you don't have to pass the product ID. Okay, you can just pass the remaining data. You can just write it. So first is short name. So let's say Moto A2, Moto mobile long name A2, something 8 GB RAM. This is the long name I'm inserting. Then what do we have? Price. So price will be in the directly value, right? 12,000. Then we have description, just mobile. Okay. Now if we run, so here you can see we didn't specify that product ID. Only 4 columns data we have passed. Execute. Still it got inserted. Now let's try to read the data. Select star from products. See, by default, it has inserted 1. We didn't pass it. So this is the benefit of making any column identity. Normally, we set the identity to the primary key column only. So again, if we try to insert the data, second data, let's say mobile A3, 1600, execute. So see, it has inserted 2. So every time it will increment and next data it will increment, so that we don't have to take care of like what is the ID we already have it not, right? You just have to pass the remaining data. Identity data means primary key data, it will take care. Clear? So till now, like anyone has any question, you can go ahead. Then we can see foreign key. Anyone have that any question till now? Or is it clear to everyone?
Sir, in case if we delete or update data without knowingly, how to revert back?
See, whenever we talk about database, now whenever we delete or update, right? So database will log something into database, like what was the previous value and what was the next value. But to extract that value, it's not like it's not very easy. We can extract that, but it needs to write so much of code. Okay. So
Okay.
we can retrieve, but it's not very easy. Normally, when we talk about the actual project, what we do every day, we set certain particular time and we take the backup of the whole database. So we know like what was yesterday, what was the data, what we have totally yesterday. But normally we don't keep the tracks, because when we create the database, we can set all the rules and regulation. Like, do we need to backup it daily? Do we need to keep that logs also? Because keeping that log also will have some memory, right? So not everyone will keep that memory also, because we need so much of memory for data only. So we cannot keep that log also. We can extract, but we need to set the database like that. Clear?
Clear. So how to take a backups, for example?
Backup, I think it's based on the database. Like normally it's like we can just a basic way, you can create a script. Okay, you can do the backup also, and you will get a single file of this whole database from task. It will create a .bak file something, and you can restore that then. Okay, based on the different database, it will be something else. And by writing custom query also, you can do the backup. In buying generate script also, you can do it. Okay.
Oh,
Anyone else has any question?
Sir, at the time of inserting values,
Mhm.
we can it is possible to insert multiple values at a
Yeah, we
single
can
time,
pass the multiple values at a one go also. We have APIs which
commas
does
and
bulk.
circular basis.
Yeah, we have the API where we do the bulk operation, right? At a time, we
Yes.
send 10 to 15 records. So that is also possible. Some APIs are like, we can upload Excel and it will read the Excel data and it will insert the data at one go. So we can do that also. Whatever we think, na, everything is possible. Okay. Anyone else
Okay.
has any question? Just get a clear understanding, like what are the tables, and when we talk about API will communicate with the database. Okay. So whatever the data you see, it is coming from API. It's not coming from API. It's actually coming from the database. From UI, we hit the API. Then API will read the data from the database and again it will send it back to the UI. That is the cycle you should be having clear in your mind whenever you are working. Got it?
yes. Sir, but in project level, we use entity frameworks.
Yeah. So entity framework is nothing but a way which entity framework, what it does, it provides you a object oriented way to connect to the database. Right? You create entity. Entity is nothing but a representation of your table. Correct? And
Yes.
then you write db dot your table name dot to list. So db dot, so in our .NET, so we write db dot parent category dot to list. So what we write over here, what is the output we get? The same line it will output this. Correct? db or db context, whatever your project might have. Got it? So this is,
Yes.
we write the query by using that entity, SQL entity. It's the same.
By
But
default, it has inbuilt methods.
yeah,
I
inbuilt.
know.
But this
Ah,
is the .NET new version. That's why you have the entity framework and everything. But before MVC, you didn't had entity, right? So we used to write
yes.
in plain ASP. We used to write the SQL queries only in C#. Now also you can write the query by SQL writer or something is there, na? You can write the same query into your C# also. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Otherwise, we can see foreign key.
So we can create directly tables from migrate na in EF core.
Yeah, from there also we can create. You can create the model. And while approach you say database or code first, what are the tables you create? Database will be automatically created. That is the entity framework part. In entity framework, we have code first approach, database approach. If database already created, your models will be automatically created. If you created model first, then your database is also automatically created. Same in Java also, we have the same thing. Spring Hibernate. What in .NET we have MVC framework, right? In Java we have Spring Hibernate. So that is also in, we have entity there, we have Hibernate something. So whatever we can do with entity framework, they can do the same thing by Hibernate. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? So table creation, how do we insert the data? How do we read the data? How do we update and how do we delete? Is it say clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next thing is how do we,
Sir,
yeah,
can you name the platform which you are using? User interface, really
sorry,
good. The platform which app is you are using for this? I learned that
SQL
great
Management Studio.
skill
This
match.
you're talking now. SQL Management Studio. In the group, I have already mentioned na, to install the two software. This is the second software, SQL Management Studio, to access the
Okay.
data. Okay. Now, so we have created a product table. Okay. where it is. Let's refresh. So product table we have created. So while discussing, we said when we talk about product will have some dependent table also. Let's say product image. So now we will try to create the product image table. Let's click on new. So this is the product table. Now we have to store the images of the product, and image is going to be multiple. So whenever we have to store, we have one entity, and with that entity, we have something multiple. So we have to create new table. If it is a single information data, we can store that into that table only. But a multiple information is there, we have to go to a separate table. Okay. So this is the table, product image ID. Okay. So this is the primary key table, integer, not null. Right click, set as the primary key, and we have to specify identity as yes. So whenever we create the table now, we set it to yes only, identity. Okay. Then product ID. So now this is our foreign key. This is another table, that is product image. So in product image, this is our primary key. And inside this primary key, we have second column is product ID. Means whenever we are inserting the data into this table, we are inserting images of the product. So by this ID, we will get to know like what are this image, whatever the image I'm inserting, this image is related to which product. Okay. So that's why we have to link something between that table and this table. So we will store product ID over here. Okay. Image URL. Let me just create it. Then while inserting, you will be able to understand. So product images. Let's save. So see, we have a product table and we have product images table. Okay. Now in product table, we already have two records, which is having product ID 1 and 2. Now we have created product images table, and in that product images we have the primary key product ID, primary key product images ID, and foreign key product ID. Just creating column is not enough. We need to establish that relation also. Like this column is connected with column from the product. Okay, means we need to establish the relation of foreign key. Means this column is connected with the column of this table, and this is the column. So for that, in this column, we need to add an foreign key relationship. So we are in the design mode. Let's right click, and here we have to go to the relationship. Okay. Now here we are adding a relationship. See, foreign key relationship. On click of add. Now here we have to establish the relationship. Once I click on over here, it will specify primary key table. Like what is the primary key table? Product. And from that product, what will be the primary key? Product ID. Now from this table, this is the primary key. And what is the foreign key table? This. And from this table, with what will be the primary key? I mean, foreign key, we have to match this. So from this table, this column will be matched to this. So this is how you create the foreign key. This is how we write it over here. And if you need to write in the SQL way, we go over here. So see, this is the person table, and inside that we have a order table. So order table will have an ID of person ID, because then only you will get to know, like this order is of which customer or which person. So we are having 3 ID over. So customer ID 3, Peterson has 2 records. Customer ID Swedenson have only 1 record. So how do we create it? Create table order. Order ID is our primary key. Then we specify foreign key, person ID, and reference to person and the person ID like this. Or you can see order ID is this and person ID. In foreign key, reference means tables. What will be this foreign key is related to the primary key of person table. So this is how we write in the query, and same thing we can achieve it in the this UI representation like this. Okay, so let's close and let's save it. Now, if we try to insert, then you will understand the benefit of having the foreign key. Okay. Now, if we try to insert the data, insert into product, what is it? Images. Okay. So in product images table, only product ID and image URL is there. Okay. So now we know, like in the product table, we have product ID 1 and 2. Now, if I pass product ID 3, so first first column I'm not passing product image ID. This is primary key and identity. So we don't have to pass this. Product ID we are passing, then URL. Let's say logo.png. Okay. Now if we try to execute this command, we will get an error. What is the error? Why we are getting the error? Logo.png. Spelling is correct or not? Product image. Why we are getting it a error over here? Comma is also there. Product ID we set it to identity. Anyone getting what is the error? Okay, sorry, values. I forgot it. Values. Thank you. Okay, so now if I execute, no, values should go over here. Okay, if we execute, we are getting error. The insert statement conflicted with the foreign key because while we created the foreign key. So in product image, product ID is the foreign key, but this product ID will come from the product table. But in our product table currently, we only have product ID, which is 1 and 2. We don't have any product which is having product ID 3. So that's why it won't allow you to insert because we don't have any product where product ID is 3. So how this image is not going to link to any product, right? Because we have established the relationship like it while inserting data into this product image, we need the foreign key, which should be there in the product table. So 3 is not there, but if we specify 2 and if we try to insert, then it will allow us. Right? One row affected. Let's try that. Select star from product image. So now it has allowed us to insert the data because this product ID is present into our product table. So it's like a relation. So consider like Amazon.com. You are registered as a customer and you order multiple product, right? So there must be an order table. So your ID will be in the order table. Okay. So now we have inserted the data. So see again, one more benefit of the foreign key. So in product images, we have inserted the data of product 2. We have inserted one image of product 2. Now from the product table, if we try to delete the product which is having product ID 2, we will get an error where okay. So it should not allow to delete the product where product ID is 2 because it has a related dependent data into the product image. So see, execute. Let me just comment. Sorry, select not delete from. We are trying to delete the product where product ID is 2. Execute. So see, again, it is saying delete statement conflicted because if we delete the product ID 2, the data in this table won't make any sense, right? If we don't have the product ID in the product table where product ID is 2, it is not going to make any difference because how it will identify like this product is which, right? So if we add the foreign key relationship, it will prevent accidental data deletion also. So we cannot delete a record which has some dependent record, right? So if we don't have foreign key relationship, we can directly delete it. Then this record will be useless because we don't have any product where product ID is 2. So accidental deletion of data also you can prevent it by the use of foreign key. Got it? So this is how we use the product ID. So now just an example of product foreign key, like let's say we have employee table. And inside the employee table, we will have department ID. So department will ID come from another table. Let's say designation ID. It will also come from the another table designation ID. Got it? Let's say we are in the order table. In order table, we might have product ID, customer ID. Then let's say where we have to deliver the ID. So let's say city ID. Okay, this will be typed of the foreign keys. Let me just show you the Swagger also, then you will understand more. So if we talk about this budget planner API, so in budget planner API, if we see this add new category. Okay, so in add new category, you can see category ID is there. Here we have user ID. So in every API, whenever you see the object, one will be primary key. And if we have more than one ID, so that other IDs will be primary foreign keys, and it will come from another API. Okay, so over here, update, add new transaction. So here you can see transaction ID is my primary key, user ID will be foreign key, category ID is also foreign key, and transaction type ID is also foreign key. So apart from the primary key, whatever the ID you see, those are nothing but foreign key. Okay, if we see bus booking, this is the new project video I'm working on. So bus vendor, okay, just like the red bus. Okay, so if you see the API, vendor ID is my primary key. Okay, we don't have any foreign key over here. Now this vendor ID might be used when we create the bus, like from this and to destination now. So we will have post bus schedule. So here you can see schedule ID, which is primary key, then vendor ID. This is a prime foreign key. Then we don't have any other key. Then if we say booking, so post booking. So here you can see booking ID is my primary key, customer ID is my foreign key, schedule ID is my again foreign key. So again, here the multiple entity data is there. So passenger ID will be primary key, booking ID is again foreign key, booking ID will come from over here. So these are the example which you might relate now. One more is like, this is complaint application. So here you can see we have parent child department. So add new department. This is the parent department where department ID is there. This is how you create the parent department. Inside each department, you will have child department. So now if we see the API of the child department, here you can see child department ID is the primary key and parent department is the foreign key. But this foreign key ID will come from this parent department. So these are the various example which you might relate now, like what is foreign key and what is primary key. So whenever you talk about, whenever you start working on any project, on any form, so let's say you are trying to design the UI. So child department ID is the primary key. So we don't showcase this in the form. But when it comes to parent department ID, how you are going to know? So you will call the other API, get parent department, and whatever the data you get from over here, you will show it in the UI as a dropdown, and you will select that department. By selecting that department ID you will pass it to save. Okay, so whenever in the object you have foreign key, you have to understand from where you are going to get that ID. If it is a logged in ID, you will read it from the local storage and you will assign it. But if it is not logged in, you need to get that other get API and you need to show that into the dropdown. So this is why you have to understand like what is foreign key. Most of the guys don't get it. Like if this is an object, how I design, how this is very simple. If it is a string, you will create a text box. But what for this? It's not going to be a text box. It should be a drop down, and drop down will have a value, whatever you get from over here. These are the parent department. Okay, this you have to show it over there. Then whatever the department you select, that ID will go into over here. This is how it works. Okay. Understood foreign key? Anyone else have any doubt?